Hello, welcome to this special edition of Magic Chats Live. Thank you so much for joining us again. I'm very happy that you are here. My name is Maciek Szczesniak, and I'm the Vice President and General Manager for the SMB and MidMarket at Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. Since today is an Earth Day in the United States, or maybe even internationally, I have decided to change a little bit my background to fit the spirit of the day. As you know, we are regularly connecting with HPE partners that are focused on the SMB and the mid-market segment. They are the ones that power the digital transformation to help to increase their customer revenue, reduce costs, and or mitigate various risks, including risk of cyber attacks. Some SMBs think that because their companies are small, they don't need to worry about cyber attacks and data breaches. But in the research published by Sanjeev Agrawal from SMB Group, I found the following statistics. 1 in 5 small businesses were target of a ransomware attack and experienced a shutdown due to the attack. 1 in 3 small businesses experienced a data loss due to the human error. 140,000 hard drives fail every week in the United States of America. 1 in 4 mobile apps include at least one high-risk security flaw. The effect of all those things is a loss of business due to the damage to reputation, inability to get the information the SMB customers need to get work done, and from potential fines and penalties. As Sanjeev said in his note, in the worst case scenario, a small business may not even recover if the infected data or system cannot be restored quickly. This is why in today's discussion, we are planning to cover the role of the MSPs globally when it comes to servicing SMBs and security. They, the MSPs, the HPE resellers, have a unique role of interfacing with customers and helping to protect their data and their business. So before we dive into the discussion, let me allow for the participants of today's Magic Chat Live to introduce themselves. We'll start with Dave. Dave, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, thank you for having us here. My name is Dave Kluger. I'm CTO at Storcom in Chicago, Illinois. We are, as you described, an MSP as well as a reseller of HPE solutions and hardware. We've been working with HPE for probably over a decade now, and that's kind of our focus. We deal with all aspects of infrastructure, from security through planning, application, disaster recovery, and business continuity. So a lot of different aspects, I think, that tie into what you are talking about today.
Thanks, Dave. Albert, do you want to go next?
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. I'm Albert from Orval in Barcelona. We are HPE business partners, and we provide comprehensive IT solutions to our customers based mostly on hybrid IT and data center solutions and projects. We also provide, as Dave, managed services, so we complete the whole life cycle of the solution, getting accompanying the client to the end goal.
And Daniel, your turn.
Hello. Hi, I'm Daniel Muritz from Tecnida. We are a small business partner here in Argentina. We specialize in SMBs, government and public sector organizations, which have little or no IT staff, so they rely on us for helping them with the assessment, sizing, and provision of IT solutions.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you, guys. As you've heard my introduction, and not only SMB Group, but also IDP says that one of the biggest technical priorities for SMB in Europe and Americas for 2021 will be security. Is that consistent with what you are seeing?
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah. we have even seen now special budgets and roles in SMBs targeted to security solutions, right? The main person to talk to was the CIO before. Now there is this chief security officer like getting ahead with its budget. So you have to target the discussion, and it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think with the proliferation of, even prior to COVID, with everything that's gone on with ransomware across the world, that's heightened the tolerance to putting that, like you said, into the budget to say that we've got to start addressing this in a more holistic, manner. And it can't just be segments of the IT environment where we, whether it's endpoint protection or on the back end server infrastructure. But what we've seen is much more of a push towards leveraging technologies that will kind of encapsulate how users are accessing data. So, for instance, things like virtual desktop (VDI), we've seen a huge push over the last year or so back again towards that, where that kind of slowed down for a while because of the fact that it's a lot easier to control an endpoint when you are doing it in a virtual environment versus having to have end users managing laptops. And then with COVID, that just expanded that need that much more. But I think that's all driven by security.
Yeah, certainly here it's the case is just the same. Here in Latin America, we have a particularity that is that small businesses don't have a budget for growth, for digital transformation, and they have been pushed to by this pandemic. So this has been quite a challenge. We have developed some solutions and have provided some HPE hardware and software to let them be safer, but we tend to see their growth just step by step while they are coping with the pandemic.
Dave, you said that this focus on security has increased with the pandemic. Any specific examples? What has changed? What are the norms that have changed once the COVID-19 has hit the companies?
Yeah, well, I think obviously, which is why we saw such a huge increase in our virtual desktop, or our desktop as a service offering, because everybody's now remote, right? So everybody panicked. Okay, now nobody's going to work. I've got, typically our customers have 100 to 500 endpoints, so they got to manage those. How we're going to manage this effectively, and because they were caught off guard so quickly, the strategies weren't there that they probably should have had in place. Desktop as a service became a very easy solution to solve that. So we were literally sending out Chromebooks to people, and then allowing them to connect into desktop as a service, backend infrastructure, which we use a number of different HP products to leverage that. We've been a SimpliVity partner since prior to HP's purchase of SimpliVity. We have a lot of our infrastructure built on that, and that allowed us to rapidly scale that up and provide those services out easily to these companies, where they have now had a way to say, okay, I don't have to have VPN, I don't have to worry about endpoint security. I give somebody literally a Chromebook. Who cares what happens? If it dies, we'll ship another one out tomorrow. And they're doing their work in a secure environment. Our infrastructure is then protected from a security standpoint, using a number of different endpoint protection solutions internally, but we can control that now. And that was one of the things that we saw, just a rapid uptick. And now that things have kind of leveled out of it, now people I think are probably looking at the more of the long term. Okay, things aren't going to change. How are we gonna address this over the next 3 to 5 years? I don't know what have you guys seen in the parts of the world that you're at, similar kind of scenarios.
Yeah, actually, I read the study during the lockdown, how it spiked the number of remote desktop protocols, ports opened insecurely, and thieves or SMB protocol ports open insecurely during the lockdown. So it's easy to extrapolate these numbers and think like how many data breaches would these ports have caused, and not having a comprehensive solution like they've told, right? Here we suffer like a madness to work from home. You could see clearly the customers that were taking this as a step-by-step approach, like Daniel said before, during these years, even though having not very good budgets and not like enormous budgets, the customers that already had like a journey towards these work from home strategies or secure environment strategies, really, I think that took advantage towards the competition that really leave that to their own, right? So yeah, we've seen this kind of stuff.
Yeah, here we have seen lots of vulnerabilities due to VPN exposure to business employee equipment. So they didn't have the time to manage their employees' desktop computers, laptops, and so on, because they had to be focusing on digital transformation to move on and stay productive. So that's been quite a challenge.
Yeah. So I understand that they were pushed very quickly to go and work from home. So they were pushed very quickly to deploy digital transformation. Okay. Then everybody started to deploy the VDI solutions, the RDS solution, the VPN. And Dave, you mentioned that they moved very fast. And what is the long-term situation? What is going to be the long-term investment in the security? What are the next steps that they are going to take in the near future?
Well, I think that I mean, at least from our vantage point, what this proved was, because I think prior to COVID, I think there was, for large companies, VDI has always been a very a solution that made a lot of sense. I think in the SMB space, there was a lot of people who just didn't see the value there. They would look at it and say, well, the cost of this versus me buying laptops, I don't know. We would do TCOs and constantly, the deals would just die. Nobody would want to do it. This suddenly made it so that they saw the value from a security standpoint. And I think I can't speak specifically for your regions of the world, but I know here, there's it's probably going to be 50% of the workforce is going to continue to work from home on a regular basis, because it's proved that was very successful too. So with that being said, this is not going to change. The need for being able to secure, endpoints is not going to change. So how do you do that? And VDI is a very, very efficient way of doing that, right? I don't think there's any way around that. So the TCO is now there, because instead of using straight hardware cost or administrative savings, now they're looking at layering on top of that the savings from a security standpoint, right? Which is tenfold that number of you take the other one, right? One security breach cost whatever, I don't know what the number is on average, but you take that and you layer that on top of what the cost of a medium priced laptop is. You can't compare that to VDI now all of a sudden VDI makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, actually, I think that VDI has like a huge handicap, which is to have a good foundation, a good infrastructure foundation. It's not just about deploying your pools and your desktops and everything. It's not just like software logical thing. You have to take consideration the infrastructure that goes beyond that, right? And the TCO, as Dave said, it's like the way to position to really do a well done TCO, considering the risk you're taking without doing it, right? Because here in Spain, what I've seen so much is that VDI had like a huge spike like 5 years ago, and because of bad experiences in some companies where they took into consideration this foundation, this infrastructure, this good storage, good networking, this kind of considerations, these projects are like waste of money, because nobody uses it, the user is not happy, the user experience is so bad, right? So for SMB customers here, VDI, I wouldn't say it's like the standard de facto, which I would love to be, but it isn't. And yeah, also you have to consider that here in Spain, there is a lot of workforce that can work from home because we are very dependent of tourism, hospitality, this kind of jobs. They can be done like remotely. So this is why I think that recovery here will take some time, and that the nature of the society won't have that integration towards the work from home as maybe in America or maybe in other regions, right?
Right. No, that's actually, that's a very valid point, and that's how obviously different regions in the world deal with these things different. I have a one perspective because I look at it the way my environment is, right?
That's interesting.
Although I have seen even in, so we have a number of our clients. I would say probably about 35 and 40% of my clients are in the manufacturing space, which they're similar in the sense that they don't get to work from home. Now, a big chunk of the back office people have, but the manufacturing, the shop floor, what we call it, right? They're still back on the plant floor. They're starting to look more at VDI from the standpoint of for the office workers to better protect them, and while they are working from home, and will continue to have some percentage, because what we've seen here, at least in the U.S. and around, where the manufacturing companies that I work with, their space is at a premium. So they're saying, well, if we can take 50% of our office space, send those workers home, we can take that space and turn that into more manufacturing floor. So they're almost pushing their own workers to work from home because they want that space back. So I think we've seen that trend may continue again because space is a commodity. There's a finite amount of space for them to work with. Now I know in places like Barcelona, I've spent a fair amount of time in Europe. Space is much more of a premium there. If you don't have the land to be able to just keep expanding.
We have seen that. We have also seen that here in Buenos Aires, in Argentina. Medium-sized customers have decided to.
Oh, broke.
Whoa.
Did we lose Daniel?
It froze. Yeah, Dave. You remember me like an experience in a manufacturing customer, where because it's not always about technology, right? I mean, we have several other handicaps always. You think about technology, you think in organization, you think in business, but sometimes you forget about things that happen in the real life. We have a customer, they sent all the people from the back office during the lockdown to work from home, and as much as they could, the people from the manufacturing or like the workers of the supply chain, they were working like there, right? So they had those fights internally between workers and the workforce because they were like saying, okay, we want to work from home, but we can't. So why are these guys working from home? We would like to go. So they had to get back to the office just because of this, just because the tensions that were
right. Yep.
I'm not saying it's the general use case, but I found it, and you have to take it into account.
I understand that it depends a little bit on the industry, right? I'm hearing you, Albert, saying, hey, basically in the hospitality where people have to work face to face, there is a slightly different need for the future, where we have the office workers, like Dave is talking about, or like we spoke with Terasa some time ago, when you can actually move people to work from home and they can actually perform. I mean, I can do my work from home. I would prefer to go and visit you guys in Barcelona, Chicago, but obviously, we have to use the technology to have this conversation when I'm sitting comfortably in my chair. So there'll be office workers that are going to be able to work from home, and I think there is a saving from the office space. I'm seeing, even HPE reducing the office space and reinvesting in the IT, even further in the IT infrastructure. I'm hearing the same about the SMB customers that are rethinking. Somebody told me that SMB customers are actually stopping the office bills and they are starting the internet bills. Okay, so they'd rather pay for the internet for their employees than for the office for their employees. Do you guys? I think you guys agree with this, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I'm interested to know in the hospitality industry, because we don't have very many clients that are in that space. What are you seeing from a security standpoint? Like obviously VDI maybe is not an option there. How are folks,
It's really a terrible situation in that field. You have to think that here in Spain, approximately 60% of the PIB, I don't know how to say it, the GDP from
Right.
Spain
Yep.
comes directly or indirectly from tourism. So it's that huge, right? So we are a sunny country. Everybody wants to come here, and it's like that mindset that I'm not really a fan of. I have to say that to take it and explore it as much as you can. So in that industry, in those industries, we have the government established like the possibility to send all the workforce to home, not work, and the government pays like kind of half of the salary to the people. And once they have like time frames where they can open with security measures, and that's all, right? So some of the customers in those industries are taking advantage of this stop of activity to do a lot of things that they wouldn't have ever done in the data center, because they could like stop servers for 48 hours. They could do it, right? So we've taken advantage of that, and to work with HPE, we also developed like a joint strategy to some of our customers to provide education and in HPE Academy with digital courses to the users, so they can better think about security and how to work from home, right? So as they were at home, they couldn't work. They took advantage to get education and get educated.
Daniel, welcome back.
Hello.
Exactly.
Sorry, I lost
Hello, Daniel.
connection.
I'm gonna use this opportunity to switch a little bit the topic. Okay, one of the security challenges since COVID and remote work made it possible, we've heard of a rise of a shadow IT. 27.6% of SMB report to face this. Do you see shadow IT at the SMBs, and any recommendations how to prevent shadow IT from happening?
We have seen that here. What we've seen is that employees use their own devices to connect to their business networks. So they have software that is not monitored at all. So we've seen some security breaches, even some data losses. So we've developed a solution based on HPE ProLiant servers and MSA storage and open source technologies to let them have a VDI structure over SSL, so they don't expose their networks at all. So they can let their employees connect from whatever device they have. So that's been a challenge we were lucky to cope with.
I think that the main cause with shadow IT is when the enterprise goes like slower than the social trends, right? I mean, this is the main cause, because whenever you are in lockdown and you have to communicate with someone, it's easily that if the enterprise doesn't provide you a solution for that, you will do your own and maybe download Zoom free or whatever, or I don't know. This is the goal, right? So I think it's just as easy and as difficult as having like a strategy to like identify which are the trends and which are the needs in the social environment, like every time, and being able to provide it to your users as fast and as securely as you can, right? So I don't know if in Argentina or in Chicago or in the rest of the world. Here, of course, the king in that is Office 365. Maybe it's the most hugely used platform for video calls and for communicating. I don't know if Zoom or any other tools is maybe used in other regions.
Here we've seen a growth in the use of Zoom, definitely, and also in some cases Microsoft Teams. That's what we've seen. But in regards of subscription services, here in Latin America, we don't see a tendency to accept that as a way to go. They usually like on-premise software and services, and that is something that is changing right now.
Yeah.
But your recommendation, Albert, is that if you want to prevent shadow IT, you need to be one step ahead of the game. Basically, understand what are the needs of the employees, what are the digital kind of solutions that are needed for them, so they don't have to search from themselves.
Yeah.
They have to. If the SME owner of the company wants to prevent shadow IT from happening, he needs to offer the tools that are needed. He needs to accelerate the digital transformation. Correct? That will prevent the employees to searching for their own stuff. Correct?
There's the counter side of that. Is, so again, during the last year, we saw a number of our clients. We have a fairly large Microsoft endpoint practice where we've been rolling out group policies and all that stuff, and we locked machines down to the point where people couldn't do anything, right? So then they were calling in, opening up tickets saying, well, we can't do any work now. We can't get Zoom to work. We can't get Teams to work. So there's a balance there. Now, then on the flip side, then you remove the group policy, and now everybody can do anything they want. Well, now you have people downloading things that they shouldn't be. So there's a balance there, and that's where I think I can't speak specifically within the HP product family, but I know that there's partnerships. I mean, we use a lot of technologies like Carbon Black, CrowdStrike, things like that, endpoint protection, to roll this out within our environments to better manage that, so you get that policy. Because that's shadow IT is just simply a function of somebody trying to do their job, right? That's all they're trying to do. They just want to get their work done. And they're going to figure out some way to do it. If they got to take a screwdriver and pry the thing apart, they're going to do it, right? I think that's the balance there. And that's why the VDI environment's good, because it controls that. But I think to your point, in Barcelona, where 60% of your income is coming from tourism, VDI probably is not really realistic. That's not really an option there. So how do you control everybody then? Because that's all the VDI environment is doing, is forcing that control mechanism. That's it. That's all it is. It's a forced control mechanism. But if you can't roll it out, then it doesn't really work.
I think that comprehensive security, right? You have to think in security like end to end, not just the endpoint, not just the data center. I think that this comprehensive point of view from security is key, right? And one of the things that as you said, Maciek, like into the perspective of the owner or the administrator of the company, it's really funny to see how these kind of people sometimes, I don't know, say like always, they see the end user like numb, or that they are evil. And maybe shadow IT, it's like just Dave said, it's just some people trying to do their job the most efficient way they think they can do it, right? And people is kind of educated in digital tools and digital work tasks, right? So they know how to use Dropbox, Zoom, anything. So if you don't have this comprehensive approach and this agile approach to provide these solutions, it will happen. It's inevitable. It will happen.
I believe that we shouldn't overlook one more element and one more aspect of this is the education, because I found this even in my private house environment. I'm also on the management board of the school for my kids, and the COVID moved all the kids to work from home, which means that suddenly every kid is using the Teams, but they are also using tons of other things at the same time as they are supposed to be, kind of a learning. And I've been advising other fellow parents that they need to obviously install the parenting software. But I think a lot of stuff, a lot of positive momentum I gained with my kids with the education of why they should avoid downloading unknown software. I think that applies to the SMBs, right? If the SMB owner invests with a partner to teach the employees about the security dangers, that should be one of the strategies they should employ. Don't you think, guys?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Are there any trainings, any specific trainings that you are running for your customers on the security?
Yeah, during the lockdown, as kind of some of the task force from some customers were forced to go home and not work as maybe if they are in hospitality or tourism. We provided together with HPE a kind of joint venture. HPE provided like 3 months for free access to I don't remember the name of the solution right now.
Digital learner.
Digital learner, exactly. That was so. Together with sales representative from HPE, we went to those customers and said, okay, this is the best time. The user is like have some spare time. You can provide like valuable education, and it was very well seen from these companies because they could make some productive time from being from home and not being able to work to those people, right? And they were people who were using tools, digital tools to take notes in the tables where they served or in the check-in areas. So yeah, that's what we dealt with digital learner.
Yeah.
Dave, you provide trainings on security?
Yeah, I mean, so we use from a training standpoint, I think that obviously social engineering is one of the most important aspects of how to get people to change their behavior. There's a number of different, we built some stuff ourselves. We use some outside third-party technologies, but I mean, I think that getting people to produce better habits so that they don't create these security loopholes. And this goes back to shadow IT, right? Which is, well, if you lock somebody down to the point where they can't do anything, they're going to find some way to do their job, right? And that's where the bad habits start, and that's where the problems start. Where, there's simply even a secretary downloading something because she doesn't realize or he doesn't realize that this is not a good thing to do while you're at work, and proliferating ransomware across the environment. It's as simple as opening that email that says, hey, you won $100, or whatever, gift cards are available here. I mean, you look at some of these things, you look at some of how easy it is to get into a network today, and you go, how would somebody possibly think that this is real? But it happens. The rate of these things being opened is unbelievable. And there's technology out there, and I shouldn't say it's not technology, there's training out there in social engineering that will take that number. We had a client who has a call center, and they had a click rate of like 90% on these, and using social engineering and training, they got it down to like 25%. So that's a huge jump. In securing the environment without even using any technology, just simply getting people to stop doing things that they shouldn't be doing.
Amazing.
We've been talking for 30 minutes, and I want to be very respectful of your time and the time that you are spending with us. I wanted to ask you for any last minute advice for the SMB customers. What do they need to do, and how do they better protect themselves against any security challenges? Any last minute advice?
We think they should invest in an agile way to move in and out of lockdown, which is the challenge for SMBs, I think. Many SMBs don't have the connectivity to keep on working at home and want their employees back. But an eventual lockdown may come, and they need to be prepared for it. So we think that that is a challenge, and security has been also another challenge they had in that moving in and out of lockdown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe I would say that it's key to take a comprehensive view in security, right? Having an end-to-end point of view and having an end-to-end strategy, it's key, right? I think that the way that this takes place, it's the concept of defense in depth, right? Where you don't just take a measure to provide this defense. Maybe it's not even a technological defense, like Dave said before, right? It's a combination of several mechanisms or tactics or strategy that really provides this security, right? Maybe the times where I've been like more valued is when a customer calls. We provide managed services. We only take maybe a part of the data center. We don't provide services from the end user or for firewalling or for networking, but we have SimpliVity or Nimble storage, and we have storage snapshots. So when there is nothing, there are these kind of technologies and mechanisms that are in the foundation of the data center that really enables to recover from a data loss in minutes.
Yeah.
And customer doesn't believe that. You go straight out, recover from snapshot, that's it. And it was like a mechanism they didn't even think about it when they deployed it.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I would definitely second that. That is great advice. Taking advantage of, hopefully you stop things earlier than having to go to recover data. But I mean, so many times we see clients who don't have any type of real good protection, and like you said, SimpliVity snapshots. When we use this at our own data center, I mean, why would you not leverage those types of technologies? It's the fastest way to recover. I can bring myself back within minutes and do that in seconds. So why would I not leverage that? The one other thing I would point out is that
they say it's not backup. Sorry for the interrupt. They say it's not backup, but it's the faster way and the most efficient way to recover from some situations.
Yeah. I was going to say the last thing I would say, the one trend we are starting to see with people going back to work is a lot of projects around Wi-Fi upgrades. So we're an Aruba partner. We are seeing projects around there, companies who have had older Wi-Fi environments, and because they have this mixed workforce where people are going to be coming into the office, but then also doing Zoom meetings in the office with people who are at work, who are working remotely, literally sitting at their desks, with a person next to them on the same Zoom call, which seems kind of strange, but that seems like a big push. And from a security standpoint, with the latest technologies and Wi-Fi access points from Aruba, there's a lot more that can be done to secure your network, with doing things like detecting man in the middle and all the different ways that people can hack into a wireless network. And wireless networks are another big area where there's a lot of room for security threats. So that was the one thing I'd say too is for SMBs, keep your eye out on that stuff, because it's relatively inexpensive if you think about it, to replace a Wi-Fi network. It's all, most of it's services more than anything else. 10 access points will cost you, at least in the United States, $5,000. That's relatively small in comparison to putting in a new, SimpliVity deployment or whatever it may be. So it's a smart thing to do. And running on 5 or 6 year old Wi-Fi technology is, forget the speed of the technology, but you're putting yourself and your network at risk because of the technology that's there didn't have the security measures that were in place that there are today.
Yeah, definitely a great win.
That's good. Yes.
So, guys, to summarize, what I learned today from you is SMBs were pushed to deploy people to work from home suddenly and very quickly, unexpectedly. Many of them invested in the VDI solutions, but some didn't, because they either That was not even the right, either it was not the right solution for them, or they just didn't know that this fantastic solution exists. This is the most secure solutions available, but it's not enough. If you want to keep your company secure, your SMB company secure, you need to stay ahead of the trends, of the social trends, of the needs of your employees, and also educate your employees. And you need to invest. As an SMB customer, you need to invest. But the good news is that SMBs, small and medium business owners, are more and more aware of the challenges, security challenges, and are right now setting aside budgets to invest and stay ahead and provide their employees with the right solutions. So the employees can do their work, they don't have to move to the shadow IT, and they don't cause the breaches, the security breaches that could cost their employees tons of money, maybe even cause them to get out of the business. And it's also great because we have great HPE partners that can provide the guidance. You've heard a lot about the solutions, that are available, HPE solutions, not only HPE solutions. So we have HPE partners that can guide you on what are the right things that you need to invest in to make sure that you always stay ahead of the game, you educate your employees, and you stay secure, and you can run your business safely. Albert, Dave, Daniel, thank you all for your time today. It was great speaking with you as usual, and hearing hearing from you how to navigate those difficult times and prepare for the future. So thanks a lot, and I hope to see you soon again.
Hopefully hopefully I can come visit you guys in Argentina and Barcelona sometime.
Same in Chicago.
I'm in Chicago. Just come here when it's warm. Don't come in the winter. You don't want to come here in the winter time.
You're more than welcome here, Dave and Daniel.
All right, take care, everyone.
Maciek,
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Good luck in the future.
Thank you very much, guys. Speak to you later.
Thank you.
Thanks, bye.
See you soon.
Thank you. Cheers.
Peace.